Silence is scary to some people. It makes them think about some really large philosophical questions like, what's the meaning of life? So if you're constantly distracted, constantly got all this noise, slow down, turn the radio off, turn the cell phone off. You're going to turn the volume of life down to where you can hear.
Sweet Tennessee, land for my bones and history. Sweet Tennessee, find me in your hills and in your streams. Shed his grace all over thee. Take me where the hills are calling, the fields are made of green. 'Cause I don't need some big old city, Lord. Give me Tennessee.
Voyage, Day 12. This is a dream. Yet I've never been more awake. Sitting, floating on the pontoon, I'm finally relaxed and focused. But even now, in this moment, my mind is tempted to retrace the incredible journey it's taken to get here. I'll never forget the first time I read The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, wishing I was right there with them, floating down the river with no worry about where we were headed, just focused on the adventure at hand. Once I found out that you could float by a river from my hometown of Knoxville, Tennessee to the Gulf of Mexico, I knew I had to do it. Growing up, my parents always told me to figure out what I love to do and find a way to make it my living. It was that guidance that helped me find my passion for filmmaking early on in life. And so at the ripe young age of 17, I started a video production company. As years went on, we were blessed to see the company grow in size, with more and more commercial clients, and a crew that grew right along with it. All the while dreaming of one day taking my own voyage and capturing it on camera, not to escape life, but to find it. In the midst of our growth, we still tried to take the voyage, but couldn't escape our busyness long enough to justify a passion project for 3 weeks down the river. With hundreds of daily emails, phone calls, and a schedule that would endlessly fill itself, I knew that if we didn't slow down and take this trip now, there was a good chance it would never happen. And so I determined that we would set a launch date and just make everything else work around it. So we invested in a pontoon. It seemed to anchor our project and let everyone know that we were serious about taking this journey. Pretty soon, sponsors hopped on board with product donations, and I contacted some interesting characters who I'd become friends with over the years to join our production crew down the river. For our voyage, we'd take 3 weeks to float from Knoxville to the Gulf of Mexico with no agenda and no distractions. For years, we've had a commercial relationship with Malibu Boats and Axis Wake Research. and were incredibly humbled when they told us that they too would like to support our voyage and offered 2 boats to help us on our way. And so 5 professional athletes were invited on board to make the most of these performance boats.
That's what we do.
At last, we were prepared to take the trip that had been a dream my entire life. 14 of us would be making the entire trip, while 2 others would be joining just past our halfway point.
Voyage, day 1.
Since we'd be rolling these boats off the factory line and taking them 1,000 miles, we thought it might be a good idea to bring along a boat technician. And our good friend Chad Borba knows these boats inside and out, so we asked him to come along. Just one minor detail: he'd never camped a day in his life.
I'm nervous, yeah, really nervous. The fact that we're going to float and not have cell phones and not have a task, that's going to be actually hard for me. Like, that's probably my biggest scare, even more than the snakes, is really, as you guys say it, you know, disconnecting. Like, my phone's ringing right now. Yeah.
That's all you can do to ignore it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Hi, this is Alex Oliver with
We collectively agreed we'd put down our cell phones and make every effort to live in the moment.
filming Voyage. It's a river movie from East Tennessee to the Gulf of Mexico.
I'll be out of the office until the first week in October.
Bon Voyage. I guess.
With all the final preparations and making sure we had everything we'd need for the next 3 weeks on the river, it was a relief to finally put the away message on. This was going to be the longest camping trip any of us had ever been on.
This is the last call. This is Amy.
Really? That's the last one?
Yeah, this is the last one.
Got the Pelican ready. We're going to collect everybody's phone and see how that goes. Oh, look, I've already got one in there. Rob threw his in there, too. So we got 2 in the box.
It's all yours.
All right.
Can I get a beer?
With families and businesses to run back home, this decision presented unique challenges for each member of the crew, but we were confident it would truly strengthen our adventure. After our final goodbyes, we pushed off from the dock.
Yeah. See you, civilization.
We're doing it. There's no turning back now.
After years of setbacks and months of planning, all that was left to do was float on to the Gulf. We were ready for whatever the river had to offer, and soon we caught a break in the rain. So the 2 wake boats cruised on ahead to find our first camp spot of the trip.
We have a yellow piece of tape mark because we can't exceed 3,500 RPM or we start taking on water. Everything that's underneath the blue tarp that you see is all of the gear that we have to make this film.
The gear is worth more than the boat. Times like 3 or 4.
Not where you want to be. Yeah. Might as well get it out of the way first thing, you know? So.
Once you see a big American flag on the ball of the hill, that's after the arena. You want to hang a left there. Alright, yeah, super close. We'll see you soon.
Copy that.
on us once. Are you kidding me?
Picked you out, heard your name, told you mine, seen someone.
Well, it has piss poured on us. It's been raining pretty heavily, some lightning. Now we're setting up the grill so that we can eat, because I'm sure everybody's starving.
Yo, here we go! Hooked it all up. We're making hot dogs, we're making friends, we're making fires. That's all you need on this voyage.
None of us had been on a camping trip of this length, and there's no doubt it would have its struggles. I guess it was the river's warm welcome to life in the elements for 3 weeks.
First night camping ever! It's great. So I need to not drink so much water at night, so I can only pee once.
Yeah, that's an issue.
Oh my God, I feel like an 8-year-old.
We had some rain last night. This morning it's beautiful, got some blue sky, nice calm water, so the riders are going to want to get out and ride some. So the rest of the team's going to be breaking down camp, kind of getting ready to get back on the river. After that, we should be pretty clear all the way down towards Chattanooga.
Pulling up anchor, hitting the river.
Like many of us on this trip, the athletes on board are making careers out of something that started as a hobby. I grew up filming with Corey Dyer in East Tennessee. It's been exciting to watch her evolve over the years and make a name for herself in the young sport of wakeboarding. 3 weeks of camping with 14 guys, yeah, it takes a special girl to do a trip like this.
I used to live in the country by the high lonesome hill, crow by day, by night the whippoorwill.
But Corey's got one of the best attitudes of anyone I've ever met, and we knew she could hold her own.
I used to live in the country by the high lonesome hill, crow by day, by night.
We've worked commercially with Malibu Boats and Access Wake Research, and through that relationship we met Brian Grubb, a Malibu team rider and one of the veterans of the sport. Being a major sponsored athlete for over a decade, he's had the opportunity to travel the world doing exactly what he loves. And after a busy year, we were excited to see how he'd adjust to the river's pace. We also asked Jeff House, another East Tennessee native, to come on board. Jeff's been riding professionally for years, and with an injury-plagued career, he's one of the most determined athletes I've ever met.
Just to be with you.
Throughout the industry, Jeff's been known for his smooth style, both on and off the water. As manager and co-owner of Etco Marine in California, Borba had to tie up a few loose ends before fully committing to putting his phone away for 3 weeks.
Well, it's day 2.
Afternoon, day 2.
Yeah. My shakes finally went away. So I guess it's time to put this thing away for the next 3 weeks. It's like, I was never addicted to nicotine, but I imagine if this is what it's like, it sucks trying to quit. I feel like it's gonna be good, but right now it doesn't feel all that great. Lock number 1 is on its way.
Fort Loudon was one of the largest locks of our trip, and was only the first of 19 that would eventually lower us down to sea level from Knoxville's 900-foot elevation.
'Cause I'm satisfied, tickled too, just to be with you.
Yeah, I hope it goes smoothly and doesn't collapse. We all die.
If you've never been through a lock before, it's a surreal experience. Upon entering, each boat would secure itself to the buoys built into the wall. Slimy walls emerged, gradually descending us almost 100 feet closer to sea level. After all the water drained out, these massive fortress-like doors would slowly swing open, revealing a new part of the river and adventures untold.
I used to live in the country by the high lonesome hill, crow by day, by night the whippoorwill. I used to live in the country by the high lonesome hill, crow by day, by night the whippoorwill.
Each day as the sun began to set, we'd scroll through our river charts in hopes of finding a good place to set up camp. We knew all the islands on the Tennessee River were publicly owned, but it took some exploring to find a clearing big enough for our entire crew.
I'm gonna pull the motor up.
Mitchell and Brad are some good friends from Nashville. Just a week before launch, they finished recording their latest album, so we were thrilled when they could join the crew and provide entertainment for the trip. Without the distraction of cell phones and a busy routine, the river reminded us of how simple life could be.
I've got a rock and roll heart and a washed out mind, and the life I wanna leave behind. I've got a rock and roll heart and a washed out mind. Well, the Beatles in the band, and the heroes I know, and the lure of the stage with the lights that glow. But I got a pocket full of nothing and a hobo's clothes.
The pontoon had a pace of its own. With all the food, camera gear, and supplies on board, the motor would push us just faster than the river's current. As we were all still adjusting to the slower pace of life on the river, the wake boats tended to cruise on ahead and wait for the pontoon.
Malibu access. Malibu access. Come in.
It became apparent it was going to take a conscious effort to rid ourselves of the hurriedness we'd sought to escape.
Missed the lock, had a big barge, a couple loads in front of us, so kind of scrolling the land right now, seeing if we can find a campsite. Looks like we got one coming up right now, so everything happens for a reason. I'm sure it'll turn out to be a great night. I would go for that one right there, Blake.
Yeah, it's a little bit lower.
Thought we found this nice open area, but turns out that it closes at sunset, and it being a state park, probably not the best idea to sleep there. So Collectively, we decided to lock through in the dark. 5 miles downstream is McClellan Island, where we'll be staying tonight. So be right in the heart of downtown Chattanooga, in the wilderness.
Where did you go, my statue friend? When did you become a marionette? And who would you choose? Curtains closed.
We felt free as we kept floating into the night. And as we arrived into Chattanooga, fireworks illuminated the sky, seeming to applaud our spontaneity. Most of our crew had actually been to Chattanooga before, but certainly never by river, at night. If there was ever a time to stop and explore, this was it.
The trees we felt never scatters me.
What's up, baby? Time to eat some pizza. Opa. Opa. Cheers. Get it, grub.
The Tennessee River Gorge is located just downriver from Chattanooga. We heard how beautiful this stretch of river was going to be, so we contacted our friend Dan at Scenic Helicopter Tours to see if he'd help us get a few shots from the air. We've flown with him on commercial projects before and told him about our trip. We were excited to hear that he'd be willing to donate his services. And it's easy to see how much he loves sharing his view of the world.
In my head I may not know what I feel down in my soul. With my eyes I may not see the fire that burns inside of me. Stand strong, hold on to hope. Grab on, don't ever let it go. When your back's against the wall, you're not alone. Here now I have been set free. Fear has got no grip on me. Now I can see the light. Dead man coming back to life. Just stand strong, hold on to hope. Just grab on, don't ever let it go. Against the wall, you're not you're not alone.
After months of logistical nightmares trying to pull off this trip, it was nice to see Jared, of all people, finally relaxed.
That was probably the best decision in Voyage so far.
As we turned the engines off and floated through the gorge, we were growing more and more connected to the river and each person around us. Our river trip was fully underway. As the days came and went, we were reminded of how simple life can be, away from our everyday distractions. With nothing but adventure in mind, we continued on.
I've wakeboarded twice in my life, so I apologize. I will probably give you a good fall, honestly.
Just let the boat do the work. Don't try to muscle your way up.
We began to share our talents, and it was fun to see professional wakeboarders teach a Nashville recording artist how to ride.
Yeah, Mitchell. Thanks for pulling me, man. Probably drop that wedge. We get in.
We are gonna go wake surfing with 2 boats. It should work out. Catching rays.
Jeff had an idea and saw a rare opportunity to run 2 boats side by side at cruising speeds. In theory, forming a surfable wake almost 80 feet behind the boats. In 7 years of knowing Jeff, I've never seen him happier than the moment that his idea came to life.
Calm down for a minute. Yeah, he's out on the board right now. Almost lost the camera.
just need a moment.
We've done it about 20 times, but the rope bounced wrong. Me and Clayton were trying to pull the rope back while Alex was filming on the end of the boat.
And it's just like dangling out there with a big handle on it, so it's just going every direction.
Rope popped up and wrapped around the camera in his hand and just jerked it down.
Pulled it almost off the back of the boat.
And tried to grab it before it went off the camera, broken to pieces, wrapped around Alex's thumb, hit my arm.
Plastic stuff's going everywhere, and then Borba just...
Quick left-hand turn with a little bit of power so we didn't get swamped. The boys on the inside did a great job of pulling them back in, and we scored. We won. At the end of the day, we won on that deal. Could have been a lot worse.
And now we're eating hot dogs. Fun.
After the brief camera scare, it was time to let off some steam. And one thing's for sure, the river has a way of clearing your mind.
It's in my legs right now.
Now take your precious time telling me what's mine. I don't want nothing but good loving and some turpentine.
As we kept exploring, we saw an interesting building, and our curiosity led us inside. The owners told us it was an old dam built back in the early 1900s and offered to show us around.
It's still not what I expected. I don't really know what I expected. The camping is so raw. I thought we were going to campgrounds and we're just roughing it, and I like it. If we were to campground, there'd be other people around, but it's just us, our group, and it's awesome.
It's nothing like the woods when you have to fart.
Let me show you how to shoot this gun.
Got it. All right, third time's the charm.
There it was.
Nice. No, I didn't see that can.
You up?
Yep.
But dude, there's so many experiences in life that are like that. Like, you just face your fear and you just do it.
There's no way, you just gotta catch it and then send it somewhere else.
Oh, wow.
That was not nice.
Right there. That's
We always get it. We're
at the big one.
Going.
It's not hot. Yes, it is. Get a new one.
3.
Oh, that was big.
There it is. There it is.
That's good. That's good.
Lock it. Lock it. Woo! We're locking.
You got it, dude. You got it. Great. Lock system does it. Great. Lock system.
I can't wait till like the next campfire.
Looking back over the last few days, I realized all of us were clearly outside of our comfort zone as we broke away from our normal routines. Jumping off cliffs, tossing around a hot coal. But somehow, with each new step, we felt more comfortable than ever. As we neared the end of week 1, the effects of camping for 7 days were beginning to show. We were exhausted, but constantly humbled to be on a trip like this. You know, there's something about the river that brings a constant reminder of how small we truly are.
Well, I lost a little something when I sold my heart. The kindness of the evening and the thrill of the dark. Oh, everyone is lying just to keep me sharp. In 11 months I traveled to the furthest coast. It was pouring on the highway and my shirt got soaked. I could celebrate the evening cause it's all I know.
After a week of isolated camping along the river, it felt odd to roll up to our first public camp spot of the trip at Ditto Landing.
Beginnings are stalling. I will never be found, never be found, never be found. No, I will never be found.
Early the next morning, as we were packing up camp, 2 girls we had met the night before asked us to wait around while they went back into town and grabbed something for us.
Hey, is that them?
Oh man.
Hey! So we made you some breakfast and gave you some like bacon and biscuits.
So much. I'm so glad we didn't just take off.
Yeah, look at this.
Last night, a bunch of random people rolled up in a place where we usually just come hammock. So we thought y'all sounded pretty cool. We really like what you're doing, and we really believe in disconnecting. And so we just wanted to bring you guys some food.
This is actually a lot. Maybe someone else could read it aloud.
Alright guys, here's the letter. So you probably think it's strange that we woke up at 6 a.m. and made you breakfast, but you kind of inspired us. I watched the trailer for your documentary when I got home last night, and I love the message behind what you guys are doing. It's actually something that's been a burden of mine for a while now. Technology has really disconnected us from life. I have this belief that each person you come in contact with has something you can learn from and has something they can pour into your life. That's probably a good part of the reason I wanted to come back and talk to you guys. I don't know what your spiritual beliefs are, if you have any, but I firmly believe in Jesus as my Savior, and that's just one of the things He's taught me in 20 years of life here on Earth. He has put other people on this planet for a purpose, so I want to learn as much as I can from them. I have a small request to make, if it's possible. Inside here is one of my bracelets. Would one of you wear it, or just carry it around with you, so that in a way I'm coming on this voyage with you? That would be awesome. You guys rock. Keep doing your thing and rocking on. I totally support you. God bless. Lauren Lane.
Very cool, Lauren. Thank you.
With one simple letter, these 2 girls had inspired our entire crew and reminded us of why we were on this trip in the first place. With their gentle words of encouragement and a hot breakfast, we set back out on the river, renewed and refocused. As night set in, the full moon illuminated the entire river. We felt inspired to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to float on through the night. It was incredible to see the full moon cross the entire sky. However, our excitement gave way to exhaustion, and most of us spread out across the boats to find a place to sleep. Except for those driving, and Borba, who unfortunately encountered seasickness and spent most of his night over the side of the boat.
I puked so many times.
With Borba's illness, we decided to get him to land as soon as possible at the nearest marina.
Every time I walk.
Rough night. Don't know what it was. Maybe a little seasickness, maybe some food I ate, but hey, it's okay. New day. God woke us up. Here we are, and we're moving. We are. It's gonna be a good day. The moon was amazing. I've never seen anything like that. We watched the whole moon cycle, so it was beautiful. That was awesome.
Definitely a special time.
Yeah.
For all of us.
Right. More so for me.
Day 8 or 9, I think. I'm not sure, but yeah, still glad to be here. It's a huge blessing.
We noticed we were approaching the Tennessee-Tombigbee Waterway, also known as the Tintin. This was the waterway that was going to shoot us straight south toward the Gulf. It was designed to simplify the route for commercial barge traffic from the Gulf of Mexico to mid-America. At the time it was built, this was the largest earth-moving project of all time, even larger than the Panama Canal. As it turns out, the Tintin also doubles as a wakeboarder's playground, with perfect glassy water. While most of the crew slept during the full moon float the night before, Corey had volunteered to drive till sunrise.
I'm exhausted. It's only 3 hours of sleep last night, and it took it out of me.
After nearly a day and a half of nonstop floating, we were excited to finally get some sleep and spotted a sandy beach nearby.
listen. My ears are too full. I heard you went missing. From your body asleep. Well, I hope to high heaven. Life is but a dream.
We felt renewed by the peace and calm of a simple life in nature. Each new day, accepting the river's never-ending call.
Had a good night on the beach out here, having pancakes and bacon. Life's good.
It was Grubb's last morning before a sponsor obligation that would take him to Miami for only a 48-hour trip.
Oh man, there's been countless times that I've just kind of like taking a step back and be like, man, this is so cool, like super peaceful, and like I couldn't think of anything I would have changed to make it better. This trip's a lot different than I guess your standard wakeboard trip that I would normally kind of go on, you know. We've just been like going slow for the last 9 days, and like to idle that long in the boats was just like driving me crazy sometimes. Like we'd be like idling for a few hours and then we'd finally just get to open them up, and I'm like, oh man, it feels good to just go fast, you know. But you know, when you spend this much time on the river and out in nature and camping and stuff, I mean, you get a little philosophical about things and about life, and you just have, I guess, thoughts that you wouldn't normally have on your everyday, you know, city life when you're just kind of bouncing around doing your daily stuff. So it is kind of weird that I'm leaving, and it's probably going to be a whirlwind of travel and parties and whatever else, but, you know, I'm already looking forward to coming back and getting together with the crew again and getting on down the river.
After we dropped Grubb off, we passed through 3 locks that would put us at Fulton, Mississippi, our midway point for the trip and a chance to resupply with the ground crew from Knoxville.
They want us to wear life jackets at the lock. Everybody looks good.
Passing by your lonesome mountain top, wise winds know things to come. River bends with the grace of an eagle in flight.
We're almost there. I think right up here on these interesting docks is where we're heading.
Don't leave me so. Watch out. Dark night will come.
As you can see, the cavalry has arrived. Stacy and Rogan were nice enough to come down all the way from Knoxville and give us some more supplies.
After restocking the boats, the ground crew informed us that the rain would be lasting on through the night.
Camping. Love camping.
Out of the kindness of their heart and maybe a little sympathy, they brought pizza for our entire crew.
Cheers to the jowl.
Got about 30, 40 gallons on the roof and the tarp, trying to keep it dry.
Keep it low.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
In spite of the rain, we were excited to give our sea legs a break after 10 days on the river. We spent the day on shore to celebrate Jared's birthday and asked the groundskeeper at our campsite to call a cab for us to get into Tupelo, Mississippi.
Now we're good. Let's roll.
If we are what we eat, then my future, it is scary. For I have been scarfing down the pages of his dictionary. In my veins there's a potent cocktail of fear and worry that will show my soul when the test results return from its autopsy. And I need just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more mercy, please. Just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. All I need is just a little bit more, little bit more, little bit more mercy, please. Beg her at your door, beg her at your door, I will always be.
Take our guy. What?
Saddle up, partner.
Yeah,
Jared's birthday.
What's your name?
Sherry, how are you?
Sharon, I cannot wait to get to know you.
Sherry.
Sherry.
Just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more mercy, please. Just a little bit.
We all went to Fulton to celebrate Jared's birthday, and we've got this. We got this beautiful sunset behind us, and I think everybody's just in fantastic spirits.
Having been in our own little world for a week and a half now, going into town was definitely a sensory overload. Although somehow the distractions actually ended up bringing our crew closer together and gave us another reminder of why we were on this trip.
Picking up on the river right there.
So weird.
I'd take a little old pole and a little piece of fat back meat and go out and catch crawdad when I was 4 years old, 3 years old. Sat there on the little bridge and ease them out. And I spent many a night on the Mississippi River where I was catching catfish. Loved it. That's better than hitting all these honky tonks. You know what I mean? And I enjoy meeting people. It's a whole lot better to sit face to face, talk to somebody, than it is to be, and every time you see somebody, they got that phone in their hand. 25 years ago, they didn't have it. What'd they do? You know, I'm not knocking them because I got one. You need it, you need it. But don't let it rule your life. That's just like anything else. Don't let fishing rule you. Don't let nothing rule you. Because you ain't going to be here long. You ain't going to be here long. You need to do what you want to do while you're here. That's what my oldest brother told me. He said, if you ain't satisfied with how you're living and what you're doing, do something else.
I did stay here.
Oh, okay.
In other words, they don't pay me nothing. Yeah, I work 4 days on, 4 days off. And what I do, I just don't have to pay no rent.
That works out all right, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Good talking to you.
Yo, come back and see us.
Absolutely, we will.
Come back and see us.
After a few days on land, it was time to get back out on the river. From Fulton, we only had one lock to pass through before our rendezvous with Grubb and Amber Wing, an Australian pro rider who had flown in from Orlando. As we passed through the lock and rounded the next bend, what we saw was a total surprise. Apparently word had gotten around a local wakeboard community that Amber and Grubb were in town. They were anxious to meet these pro athletes and watch them ride.
It's special just to have these pro athletes come through here, and yeah, I just love it's different than the football, basketball, or anything. You know, you love them, but you never connect with them. You never see them. You know, you never get to meet them. And this, you interact and you get to hang out with them. It's just an awesome feeling.
Second chance to take it slow. Either way I want to go. Either way I want to go. Oh, either way I want to go. Either way I want to go. Oh, either way I want to go.
Born and raised in Australia, Amber's season never ends as she chases summer across the globe. Over her career, she set the bar for women's wakeboarding and has a perfect balance of style with technical ability that keeps her on the top of the sport.
Either way I want to go. Either way I want to go. Oh, either way I want to go. Either way I want to go. Oh, either way I want to go. Oh, either way I want to go.
It was huge.
We got a Voyage pet.
Try to catch it.
Huge rat. Huge rat. There's a rat on the boat.
Well, we were just riding, and Corey just started screaming frantically, and looked back, and a rat ran right across our lap. I thought she died. I was like, someone shot Corey.
I just heard screaming, and then I looked to my left, and it's sitting next to me.
I was embarrassed to scream, and then I heard Mitchell screaming like a girl, so then I was okay.
I saw its tail, and I thought it was a snake.
Everything kind of started shifting in the boat, and I felt something against my back rattling, and I thought it was like a t-shirt or a towel, and then across my lap goes a giant rat, and all the way around the boat through everybody's lap. Then I started screaming. They didn't know why I was screaming, thinking I was overreacting. Then we scared the rat, and it pooped. Now we're trying to find it right now.
You pull this on here. Can you tell where this is?
I'll hopefully find it here.
How to get off this boat?
Out of the drop.
I'm trying to find this rat. We got the rat killer here from Ole Miss.
Everything is out.
What began as a comical problem could actually turn into something much more serious if the rat were to chew through an engine wire and shut down this boat for good.
Is there any way this rat could have gotten off the boat? No.
A few of the locals generously went to town and brought back rat traps in an effort to help us catch our stowaway while we were sleeping.
Dark and empty, black as a coal. Your skin, it is burning, and your feet, they are cold.
We woke up anxious the next morning to find the rat in one of our traps, but to our dismay, found them empty. Our only hope was that the rat had escaped under the cover of the night. So after a quick breakfast, we loaded up and motored downriver.
is getting cold. Some dirty rounder took my jelly rolls on that train. Carried my gal from town on that
Lock by lock, the climate and the landscape continued to change as we pushed closer to Columbus, Mississippi, where we'd arranged the following day to pick up Colin Harrington, another professional athlete and the final member of our crew.
Southern delicacy right here.
Can I get a bean burrito and a corn dog, please?
They carried my gal from town. Hello, Central, give me 309. I just wanna talk to that gal of mine. Oh, that train. Say they carried my gal from town. Oh, that train.
We woke up on day 13 to overcast skies, which soon turned to rain. As we docked up in downtown Columbus, our crew went into town to explore as we waited on Colin to arrive.
Where were you when that train left town? Standing on the corner, head hanging down. Train. That old that train.
As both the professional wakeboarder and photographer, Colin Harrington's a busy guy and flew straight in from China for this trip. After all his traveling, he was ready to join our crew and slow down with us at the pace of the river. While waiting for Colin, we met a family who owned a houseboat just a few miles downriver. Excited to share a bit of their culture and help us on our way, they invited us to their catfish fry that evening. And so we set up our tents outside the Alligator Hilton with freshly fried catfish and some newfound friends. Due to our timing of this trip in mid-September, we found out many of the marinas that normally would have been opened were closed for the season. This meant we'd encounter an unexpected 100-mile stretch of river with absolutely no fuel. But our friends from the Alligator Hilton were generous enough to offer their personal fuel supply to help our boats make it to Demopolis, the next functional marina for the trip. Picking up Colin was our last scheduled event of the trip, and we were excited to finally have the whole crew together, ready to float the remaining 200 miles or so south to the Gulf. Several miles downriver, we stumbled upon these huge white bluffs. It was a strange sight, but we had a hard time keeping our eyes off this massive train trestle that loomed overhead.
Pretty positive it's over 70. Probably a little higher than that.
Work your way down a little more and then work your way straight to the right.
All three. Can we fit?
Hey, what? Whoa, wait, what? Oh, there's a train coming! We gotta jump farther apart. Go. Okay, go scoot apart.
Holy shit! I did not know that train was going so fast. Woo! It just started shaking that bridge.
It's safe to say there's nothing like a near-death experience to bring a crew closer together. With our adrenaline still pumping, we continued on toward Demopolis, our next stop for the trip.
Blake, what happened?
Ran out of gas.
Damn the luck.
I know.
It's all right. Master Borbus here to fix it.
100-mile stretch, been running on these about 15 miles.
After fueling up, the groundskeeper allowed us to set up camp near the marina, which we soon found out was a popular place to dry dock for boat repairs. As we began wandering through this quirky little community of boats lifted on stilts, we ran into a man welding on the underside of his houseboat.
We lived on it in the water for over a year, but I didn't know it hadn't been out of the water for over 17 years. Ended up hitting something underwater. I'm assuming it was some piece of concrete. Just kind of jarred the boat. It's like, okay, I want to take the boat out of the water and spray it all off, check it for holes, and patching it, and I do fine. I've just been working on it nonstop ever since. And going to school and working. You shouldn't expect life to be easy. And it's not supposed to be easy. If life were easy, we would never develop into what God actually wants us to be. And I use the analogy of a butterfly escaping from a cocoon. And you say, oh, look at that poor caterpillar struggling. Let me go help it out. It'll never develop into the butterfly because the struggle of getting out of that cocoon is what gives its wings strength enough to spread out. It's that struggle that turns it into a beautiful butterfly. If God were to make it easy on us, it's like, oh man, I know you're struggling down there on that houseboat. Let me just weld it up for you. I would never develop into a good welder. I would never develop into a good husband if loving my wife was just easy all the time. It's the struggles that make you strong. God's not done with me. He's still working on me. He loves me enough to give me these struggles and to develop me. And so it's good to have positive things in life, but we're not there yet. Heaven's called heaven for a reason. You're afraid to slow down. I don't know why you're afraid to slow down. Think you might miss something. And I think some people do it to themselves so they don't actually have time to think. Similar to people, first thing they do when they get in the car is they turn the radio on. Silence is scary to some people, because it does make them think. It makes them think about some really large philosophical questions like, what's the meaning of life? So if you're constantly distracted, constantly got all this noise, slow down, turn the radio off, turn the cell phone off. You're going to turn the volume of life down to where you can hear.
We noticed this morning pontoon was sitting a little bit low. We decided to have him pull it out here at the dry dock and take a look at it, and we found there was a small hole in the right pontoon. So it's been taking on a little bit of water, and we can't really drain it out of the back plug.
Let's just patch that hole, load a lot smarter, keep on going.
How far you go?
About 200 more miles.
About it?
Yeah.
We only expected to stay one night in Demopolis, but after the pontoon got repaired, it was too late in the day to attempt to make any decent progress downriver. As fuel became more and more difficult to come by the further south we ventured, we realized this was probably going to be the last opportunity for the athletes to ride. So they were excited to get out and capitalize on the golden light and calm water.
I went down to Georgia with a guitar on my knee. I went down to the land of the pines, southeast Tennessee. Yeah. And I'll keep running. And I'll keep
part of the river, there's pretty much these natural quarter pipes going down the whole thing, so seems like a bad idea to waste it.
And I'll take my chances on an old school bus with weather playing on the radio. I can't stay for far too long, the sweet honey, I'm booked, I got to go, yeah. And I keep running. And I keep running. Show me some things that I thought was new, but you just don't understand, yeah. And I keep running, and I keep running, oh, and I keep running, and I keep running. Talk.
Right now, I'm feeling great. We got a couple more days heading down to the Gulf of Mexico. So I've learned so much about people that I would never have learned about had I had my phone on me. And it's been an unreal blessing for me. I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm having the greatest time of my life.
It's been really, really cool to see everybody kind of come together like a gumbo or something, like throw in all of these different talents and ingredients or whatever to make this like synergetic group, I guess, and it's been really interesting.
We're all so incredibly different, but I love each and every one of these people, and I'm just so overjoyed to be able to be a part of this trip with them. You don't have to go spend 3 weeks on the river to be in nature and with yourself ultimately. It's extremely practical and reasonable for everyone to do what they can every day, to be conscious of the voyage that they're on and to be conscious of what they're learning, what they're missing out on, and to ask what is worth it, what am I working towards, I think is a goal that you really need to ask at the end of every day and at the beginning of the next.
On our 16th night, we sat around the campfire with a few of the locals who asked us how our trip was going. We couldn't think of a better way to tell them than let Brad and Mitchell play a song they'd written with some of our crew during the first week on the river.
1, 2.
We've been floating this here river for damn near 7 days, all the way from Knoxville, Tennessee. We don't know where we're going, but the beer is always flowing. The simple life is feeling fine to me. We got miles and miles to go to the Gulf of Mexico. Ain't got no phone to give my baby a call.
We're living the dream, not floating the mainstream. 'Cause we got time to make no time at all. If you're not doing what you love, you'll never make enough to keep you happy when you're growing old. Well, you only get one life, so take a chance and don't think twice. Go and find a voyage of your own. We got miles and miles to go to the Gulf of Mexico. Ain't got no phone to give my baby a call. We're living the dream, not floating the mainstream. 'Cause we got time to make no time at all. Oh, I said we got time to make no time at all.
Nice.
As we left Demopolis, we passed through one of the last locks of our trip, where the Tintin gave way to the Tombigbee River, which signified the last leg of our trip.
Yeah, you can't like lash back up there.
I want to see him get on shore. Whoa. And you guys want to ride in this water?
That was cool.
I don't know if it was cool.
Throughout our journey, we had heard of Bobby's Fish Camp, an infamous fuel stop, and the last one, in fact, before Mobile Bay, the entrance to the Gulf of Mexico. Turns out, it was the perfect place to rest before the final stretch of our humble journey.
Uncle Bobby opened the restaurant in 1956, and Uncle Bobby was quite comfortable to just look at the river all day. Simple life here. Everybody likes to hunt. Everybody likes to fish, you know, and be with family. Just the place you love. As you age, you stop and think, you know, what's important? My family, my time with them, you know, that's important. The good Lord has got us all here, and I have a lot of faith. I thank Him first. And then, YOLO. YOLO, you only live once. So,
I'm gonna build me a camper right there on the hillside and live 24/7 up here. Good morning. What you doing? I'll probably ride my bike some more till we go swimming or fishing. I just let it go about right there where that bush is, and this thing will get up in the air and fly like a kite. Yes, sir.
Oh, he's doing it barefoot.
We're getting ready to lock through the very last lock before we hit Mobile, which is a 118-mile stretch of no locks, no marinas, no nothing. So we kind of loaded up on fuel, topped all the boats off at Bobby's Fish Camp, about a mile up the river. Now we're just waiting on a barge to get out of the way, and then we're going to try to float for a long time and conserve some fuel so that we can make it through this 118-mile stretch before we hit the Gulf.
Last lock! Woo!
Yeah, we hit a rock. We hit some dirt coming around the bend.
There's no we in that. Borba hit a rock.
Asshole.
And it don't got no way to see you when you're far away.
We were checking out the beautiful dam, the last dam that we went through, the lock. And there's a rock that just kind of jumped out of nowhere. Came up, bit the prop. Borba happened to be driving.
Okay.
We won't blame nobody though.
What's that? I can't see. All four.
There you go.
Well, you hold your breath like 85 seconds longer than me, so you put the prop on.
So you put that on, then put this on?
Yeah, and then I'll come right behind you.
Might make it to the Gulf of Mexico after all.
We were taking advantage of every last opportunity we saw to enjoy this simple life, focused on being exactly where we were, with each other.
Two-hand touch. Fire that pigskin.
The beautiful people and the friends you meet. As long as you come back home, you will never be alone. When you're far away, and it don't got no way to see you. When you're far away, when you're far away, and it don't got no way to see you. When you're far away,
I see what you're trying to say.
sometimes I wish that I could see your face. But the point of living is to see this place.
Right now, today, I guess it's kind of like why I'm here. Like, I allowed myself to shut down, and today was awesome. From the boats cruising to the people we hung out with to where we're sleeping tonight, like, it's amazing. Today was an amazing day.
Oh, now, when you're far away, and it don't got no way to see you. When you're far away, when you're far away, and it don't got no way to see you. When you're far away, when you're far away, and I don't got no way to see you. When you're far away.
As we closed in on the final stretch of the river, I looked into the faces of our crew. Everyone was content, focused, fully present in life all around us. For now, we were here, in the moment, and that was more than enough.
It has been a surreal night for me. When we came around that bend just now and saw those lights, it was like living a dream. Cheers to each and every one of you guys. Like, thank you so much for being here. Yeah. Cheers.
As the banks of the river grew further and further apart, we saw an empty horizon line growing wider and wider as we entered the Gulf. It didn't take long to realize how out of place these boats were in the Gulf, especially the pontoon. Everyone we passed seemed to stare at us, scratching their heads at the strange sight of our three leisure craft in these not-so-leisurely waters.
Down this road,
we soon reached the nearest marina and said our goodbyes to Grubb, who had to leave due to yet another sponsor obligation.
This is a slow pace for me. For 3 weeks of this is crazy. But it was good. I had a good time, the entire trip, and yeah, I learned a lot. It was cool. Pretty sweet. Yeah, dude.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We set our compass to New Orleans and made arrangements for the pontoon to be stored at the marina for the time being. It was a sad day to see the pontoon go, but we knew there was too much life left in her than to send her on toward the inevitable doom waiting in the Gulf.
in the strength
After 80 rough miles, we arrived in Biloxi and discovered there was a tropical storm brewing in the south. So we thought it better to keep both the crew and the boats safe on dry land, which meant we'd be finding an alternative method to get to New Orleans.
It's the last day, kind of a sad day, really. Gonna pull out the boats and watch them go. Jump on a party bus and go to New Orleans. Can't be that bad.
Our friends from the local Malibu dealership came down to pick up the boats.
Yesterday was challenging. We put those boats to the test yesterday.
I bet you did.
And just like that, they were gone. What started as a dream planted by the river would become the adventure of a lifetime. But of all the lessons learned, the simple truth is, when you slow down and look up, you discover life.
And all come true. And all come true.
Yeah, you better sing along. Everybody sing. Everybody first sing. 1, 2, ready, go.
We've been floating this here river damn near 7 days, all the way from Knoxville, Tennessee. But we don't know where we're going, but the beer is always flowing. Simple life is feeling fine to me. We got miles and miles to go to the Gulf of Mexico. Ain't got no phone to give my baby a call. We live in the dream, now float the Main Street. We got time to make no time at all. Oh, say we got time to make no time at all. If you're not doing what you love, then you'll never make enough to keep you happy when you're growing old. Well, you only get one life, so take a chance, don't think twice, and go and find a voyage of your own. We got miles and miles to go to the Gulf of Mexico. Ain't got no phone to give my baby a call. We're living the dream, not floating the Main Street. We got time to make no time at all. Still we got time to make no time at all. Still we got time to make no time at all.
There's New Orleans!
Setting up a little hammock chain, similar to a daisy chain, but with hammocks instead of daisies.
It'll be about a 30-minute tow right here to the marina.
Oh my God. Thank you for that in-flight announcement.
Well, we gonna have a party. Invite everybody.
That's some bullhead.
and spell your full name.
C-O-R-N-D-O-G. Okay.
Every day, just wake up, open my eyes, and look good.
Oh, dude, Alex is getting some great stuff here. When the sun goes down in Holland, you can hear those people holler. Invite everybody, sweet mama, sweet daddy, come in.
We don't have cell phones, baby.
I'm trying to think of the best way to.
Be my bad.
Lick it.
It's just fine, thanks.
Wait, who's my daddy? Corey, Daddy will do this.
I'm the daddy here.
He says he's daddy. He says he's daddy.
We're both
Who's my
daddy.
daddy?
Alex.
It's getting smellier and smellier, weirder and weirder.